There are many legendary swords. Why are there no legendary guns? Why would there be? By the time guns got good, people were largely over new myths. May as well ask about legendary iPods. There are tons. Booth's Derringer, the pistol that killed the Archduke and kicked off the greatest conflict in history, etc. There are legendary guns, you're just ignorant. Among other weapons, I had an extraordinary rifle that carried a half-pound percussion shell. This instrument of torture to the hunter was not sufficiently heavy for the weight of the projectile. It only weighed 20 pounds. Thus, with a charge of 10 drachms, 270 grains of powder, behind a half-pound shell, the recoil was so terrific that I spun around like a weather clock in a hurricane. I really dreaded my own rifle. Although I had been accustomed to the heavy charges of powder and severe recoil for some years, none of my men could fire it, and it was looked upon with a species of awe, and it was named Jena el Mutfa, child of a cannon, by the Arabs, which being far too long a name for practice, I christened it the Baby. And the scream of this baby loaded with a half-pound shell was always fatal. It was far too severe, and I very seldom fired it, but it is a curious fact that I never fired a shot with that rifle without bagging the entire practice. During several years, was confined to about 20 shots. I was afraid to use it, but now and then it was absolutely necessary that it should be cleaned. After months of staying loaded, on such occasions my men had the gratification of firing it, and the explosion was always accompanied by two men falling on their backs, one having propped up the shooter, and the baby flying some yards behind them. This rifle was made by Holland & Holland of Bond Street, and I could highly recommend it for the Goliath of Gath, but not for the men of AD 1866. Sir Samuel White Baker, The Albert Nyanza, Great Basin of the Nile, page 136, Macmillan, 1866. Nani? Created by a small group of individual craftsmen, limited in number, possesses a distinct epithet used by a great hero in battle. Current whereabouts? Unknown. Here you go, went on. Because guns are a force equalizer. A genius with a martial weapon can impress his foes to a degree that makes the survivors spread myths about him that get bigger and bigger until he becomes a legend. Like that one Viking holding the Stamford Bridge. With a gun and a bit of training, anyone can kill. I would guess the closest thing could have been something like Simo Haya's rifle, if he had used only one or two of them instead of dozens. No legendary guns. Al Capone's Sweetheart government model, Wyatt Earp's cavalry model, Clyde Barrow's bar, Chris Kyle's TRP operator, Marcus Luttrell's Mark 12 Mod 1, Carlos Hathcock's M2, Simo Haya's M29-3, serial number 60974. Don't forget the Gordon carbine and Schuckardt M14. Wyatt Earp's is called the Peacemaker, not knowing of the sandalwood guns, barrels forged from the shards of the sword of Arthur Eld. That's almost forgetting the face of your father, OP. Betsy was Davy Crockett's Kentucky rifle. Daniel Boone's was Tick Licker. I think these two probably qualify since they're older and I feel like they're more handmade and less mass-produced. Also, a little more of a tool for their owner's lifestyle rather than just a weapon. Ignoramus. When OP hits you with something so, why are there no legendary guns pilled that you just have to hit him with that green coat stare?